Joining us, cricket analyst in Mr. Sunil Gavaskar. Saibhai, firstly, how would you sum up this particular loss? I mean, there are many ways of looking at it. One can be that it is heartbreaking, as we're saying it on our broadcast. The other could be, so close yet so far. It was a golden opportunity for India to go 2-1 up. How do you see this particular loss?
First and foremost, now I'm not outside the ground; I'm inside the ground.
Yeah.
And so you could say both actually. It was heartbreaking. It was so near yet so far, because when you lose by the margin of 22 runs, you know that you could have, with a bit of luck, gone past that total and gone 2-1 up in the series. So it's disappointing, very very disappointing from Indian cricket and Indian cricket fans' point of view. But you have to admire the way our lower order batters, particularly say Nitish Kumar Reddy, Jasprit Bumrah, and Mohammed Siraj, battled to try and take India over the line.
Saibhai, let's talk about Ravindra Jadeja. He got 70 odd in the first innings, and this 61. Is it fair to say that this 61, which is a standout innings, if I was to compare both teams in the second innings where it was probably not the best conditions to bat on, this 61 didn't deserve to be on the losing side?
Yes, I deliberately did mention Jadeja because, everybody knows what a hand he played. He needed, these partnerships with Nitish as well as, with Jasprit and Mohammed Siraj. But his has been a fabulous contribution right throughout the series. He's picked up the odd wicket. He's been brilliant in the field. But as a batter, he really has come, so good as a batter, being given the responsibility of batting in the top order. When you're batting in at 5 or 6, you're in the top order. And you can see the result. Here's the man who's got a couple of triple hundreds in first-class cricket in the Ranji Trophy. And we've never really given him that batting order because we've had batters till then. So at number 7 and 8, he's made his invaluable contribution. Good to see him getting the runs. But again, sad that he was on the losing side.
So as we said that, it was an outstanding effort there from Ravindra Jadeja. But if I was to nitpick and look at, and we're only doing that because we so wanted India to go across the line, because had they done that, this would have been one of the famous wins that India would have got at no other place but the home of cricket at Lord's. Do you think at moments the Indian batters, Jadeja and the tailenders, went into a bit of a shell? I know it wasn't an easy pitch to bat on. We've seen this throughout this test match. But even then, you've had, somewhere between 2.5, 3 runs and over scored throughout this test match. But there was this moment of play when he was batting with the tailenders that you actually went through a phase of play where only about a run and over was being scored. Could that have been slightly different? The approach could have been different? Or was it dictated by the fact that he was batting with the tailenders?
I think it was dictated by the fact that he was batting with the lower order batters, not really known for their batting ability. So you were looking to farm the strike as much as possible. And in that case, also you're a little bit worried about, taking the risk, maybe going the aerial route. And don't forget, he is playing for a franchise which believes in taking the game deep. So, taking the game deep is what they look to do. And therefore, maybe that didn't quite work out, but that's what you were looking to do: take the game as close to the England total as possible, take the game deep.
Exactly. That's exactly what he was trying to do. And at the end of the day, was also undefeated. Plenty more to come with Mr. Gavaskar. Anyway, we spoke about the lower order contribution, what might have been had, they've stuck around for a little bit longer. But let's get to the elephant in the room. Let's get to the top order. 193. I know the conditions weren't very easy. There was a bit of variable bounce as well. But with the top order that India had, did you expect a little bit better? Did Jadeja and co needed a better base from the top order despite those conditions? Because, you also must have played throughout your career. Whenever you bat on the 5th day of a test match, conditions are never easy. Pitches are always tough. But batters find a way, especially top orders, batters find a way to get some runs together.
I think the new ball was used very well by England yesterday in the evening. And that's where, India losing those 3 wickets. And then, of course, the night watchman, Akashdeep, that didn't help. Those 3 wickets, I think, were crucial. It was good bowling. The ball that got maybe Yashasvi Jaiswal maybe was a tad ambitious looking to play pull from outside the off stump. The wickets of Karun Nair and Shubman Gill were to what you would call deliveries with the new ball, which swung in. So tough, not always easy to play that. But if you're looking at, I mean, there are so many turning points in the game. There's so many turning points which, if India had taken a lead of maybe 100 runs, the whole story could have been different. But that's what sport is all about. What if this, and what if that. At the end of the day, you've just got to accept that, England were probably a lot more hungrier than India were.
Saiba, you talk about turning points, and I'll get to that. But, as we look back at that entire test match, neck and neck, both teams, till the last ball that was bowled, where do you really think, what are the areas that you think resulted in India losing this? Where do you think India really lost this particular test match?
I think when you look at we're talking about lower order contribution. Now it's a little bit unfair for teams to expect from the lower order. But this is exactly where England are being well served. England were 7 down for 271 in the first innings, if I recall correctly, and they went on to score 387. So the last 3 wickets added 116 runs. India were about 350, 367, and they were dismissed for 387. So the last 3 wickets added 20-something runs. So that is where, I think the lower order, if they had contributed maybe another 40, 50 runs, that would have made the difference. So this is where I think India are at the moment, despite adding players like Washington Sundar and Nitish Kumar Reddy, who are more batters than bowlers down the order. It's not worked for India in this test as well as in the first test that leads. In the Birmingham test, they did get that contribution when Jadeja and Washington Sundar did bat well, with Shubman Gill. So they did get that contribution, but India has not quite got that contribution, and which is the reason why India wasn't able to take the big lead that was at one stage looked possible when Rishabh Pant and KL Rahul were batting together on day 2.
Since you talk about that partnership that was brewing between KL Rahul and Rishabh Pant, and I'm looking for turning points, that Rishabh Pant, and I'm looking at it in hindsight, always 20/20 vision, that Rishabh Pant run out, think one of the crucial turning points of the match?
The biggest turning point, because both were batting so well, splendid batting by both. It was like fire and ice combination. Rahul pretty calculated, cool, stroking smoothly, and Rishabh Pant all power and punch, and really pushing the England bowling lineup back. It was a rollicking partnership, and just that last over before lunch, that run out changed things. Rahul did manage to get the 100 after lunch, but sometimes when you get into a situation where there's a run out, it can linger in your mind for a bit, and maybe therefore after the 100 there was just that little sort of shot which got him out, and so India lost 2 wickets of well set batters in the space of about 3 or 4 overs. So 2 new batters had to come together to try and build a partnership together. So that wasn't easy.
That takes me to where, the spice was really added in this test match. It was the end of day 3 where, there were verbals between the 2 teams, a bit of time wasting, a bit of gamesmanship. I know the Indian team wasn't happy, but what I'd want to know from you is, do you think that ruckus that happened at the end of day 3 with all the sledging and all the anger overflowing, did that distract the Indian team in any way? Because they had to bat after that.
No, I don't think it distracted. If anything, it brought the Indian team together. And that's how they were able to dismiss England for 192. Otherwise, there was nothing in the pitch. Otherwise, maybe England would have got to maybe 280, 290 or thereabouts. But something like that just gets everybody together. And you would have seen that it wasn't just one person trying to sort of get in over there. It was pretty much the whole team that was in there. And so therefore, I do believe that last over thing in the final over of the third day's play brought the Indian team together.
As you said, that it got the young team together. And talking about a young team, I was just looking at the crowds that turned up at Lord's. Remember, it was a Monday. chock-a-block, full house. That's a good reflection on this young Indian team because, it takes a lot to bring the English cricket fan to the stadium. Clearly, with the kind of cricket that they've played, the kind of competitiveness that they've showed on the field so far in the 3 test matches, that's responsible for bringing so many people to the ground, and that's a good sign for this young Indian team.
It is. It's a very, very, attractive team. They're playing some really good cricket. We saw that in the first test match as well, where they scored 800 plus runs and yet ended up on the losing side. Then they won in Birmingham in such an overwhelming manner. So yes, I think the English cricket loving public knows that this Indian team is worth going miles to see, and that's why the response of the last day. Also, I think the ticket prices were pretty much down. If for the 4 days, the ticket prices hovering around 150, 200 pounds and more for some of the seats. I think today the standard ticket price was, I think, 20 or 25 pounds. So that's a big difference as well. And a lot of the people who came in today were of Indian origin, maybe staying in England or visiting England. So there were English fans, all right, but I think majority were Indian fans.
That's true. That's true. As Mr. Gavaskar mentioned, a lot of them Indian fans. But the fact that India were up against it, 58 for 4, yet those Indian fans turned up in large number, hoping that India can do the unthinkable, which looked at that moment and pull off this chase. So clearly a good reflection on this young Indian team. It has caught the imaginations of the Indian fans, at least, that reside in England. Even though the crowds must have enjoyed this contest that is happening on the field, but it's poor Mohammed Siraj that's had to let go of 15% of his match fee. My question to you is, and this is what Stuart Broad also put on social media, he said, fine, you find Siraj 15% of the match fee for celebrating, but what about, let's say someone like a Shubman Gill? His point is that why do bowlers get fined for celebrating? Batters can have a lot of verbal. They can say anything when they're fielding close into the batter. They don't get fined. Why go after fast bowlers? They are these, fiery players. They will celebrate like that.
That's because the batters or whoever is around the bat, they are not caught on camera. Here, I think, you saw the cameras where, he was celebrating. I actually didn't say anything wrong with that celebration because he wasn't giving the batter the send. Actually, when you give a send off, go or something, that is where I think you need to be fined. But if you're in the face saying, got you, I don't think that is any reason for the player to be summoned before the match referee. I think it was just over the top as far as the match referee is concerned. And the contact, if you see the contact that happened, it was Ben Stokes who's come there. Siraj has not gone there. Siraj's shoulder is a bit this way. Sorry, not Ben Stokes, Ben Duckett. He's the one who's made the contact. But well, I mean, there you are. I think the match referee is taking the ball. Hopefully, Siraj will next time celebrate a little bit subtly, maybe, because at the end of the day, all you want is to keep on getting wickets. It doesn't matter what else happens.
So about this, getting back to the test match, this was a valiant effort by the Indian team, but unfortunately, they are 2-1 down. 2 test matches to go. They can't afford any more slip-ups. Do you think India can bounce back and still have an opportunity of winning this series from here on?
Oh, yes. It's a very good team. India's got a very good bowling lineup. I think in Manchester, it'll be a pitch where there will be a little more carry. These 3 pitches, the pitches have been pretty low and slow. They haven't been what you see as the usual English pitches where there's a lot of seam movement, seam movement, and a little more. We haven't seen that at all in these 3 matches. Maybe a little bit at Leeds, but you'll certainly get more at Manchester, which should suit our new ball attack quite a lot. And also for the batters, because the batters like the ball to come onto the bat, they can play through the line. So I would imagine that at Manchester, India's got a very good chance of leveling the series. And Oval also will be a wicket where the ball will come onto the bat quite nicely. So I think both these tests, India need to just have a little bit of luck on their side. They didn't have it here and at Leeds, a little bit of luck at Manchester and at the Oval, and India could win this series 3-2.
All right, so we'll leave it at that because I can see the the staff there cleaning up the stadium. They won't allow you to be there for very long. Test match is done. But thank you so much for taking our time, speaking to us here on India Today. Of course, Mr. Gavaskar is going to be back as we then prepare and look ahead to the next test match that will be played in Manchester.